The night of October 15, 1954, the residents of Raymore Drive in Toronto went to bed in a rainstorm. They didn't know they were sleeping on borrowed time. By midnight, the Humber River, which normally ran about 66 feet wide at its narrowest, had swelled to 351 feet. A wall of water roared through the Humber floodplain in the dark. It swept away 14 homes on Raymore Drive. 35 people died on that single street. The road itself was simply gone. Today, where those houses once stood, there is only a footbridge in Raymore Park, a quiet monument to those who never made it to morning. The night of October 15, 1954, the residents of Raymore Drive in Toronto went to bed in a rainstorm. They didn't know they were sleeping on borrowed time. By midnight, the Humber River, which normally ran about 66 feet wide at its narrowest, had swelled to 351 feet. A wall of water roared through the Humber floodplain in the dark. It swept away 14 homes on Raymore Drive. 35 people died on that single street. The road itself was simply gone. Today, where those houses once stood, there is only a footbridge in Raymore Park, a quiet monument to those who never made it to morning. Began, as so many Atlantic hurricanes do, as an unremarkable tropical disturbance east of the Lesser Antilles in early October 1954. By October 12th, it had intensified into a full hurricane. By October 14th, it was a Category 4, packing sustained winds of 130 miles per hour with a central pressure of 938 millibars, that's 27.70 inches of mercury, one of the most intense readings recorded in the Atlantic Basin up to that point. Haiti bore the first catastrophic blow. The island was desperately poor, its mountainous terrain completely exposed to the storm's fury. Hazel slammed into the western coast and unleashed devastating rainfall. Mudslides and flooding wiped out entire communities. When the counting was done, at least 469 Haitians were dead. Some estimates go as high as 1,000. A 3-day national period of mourning was declared. The USS Saipan deployed 18 helicopters to deliver emergency supplies. An outbreak of typhoid fever followed in the weeks after, as clean water became impossible to find. From Haiti, Hazel drove northwest through the Bahamas and directly toward the American southeast. On the afternoon of October 15th, it made landfall just south of the North Carolina and South Carolina border, still a Category 4, a ferocity almost unheard of that far up the Atlantic seaboard. The storm surge along the Carolina coastline reached 18 feet. The Weather Bureau in Raleigh issued a statement that is still quoted by meteorologists today. All traces of civilization on the immediate waterfront between the state line and Cape Fear were practically annihilated. In Long Beach, North Carolina, only 5 of 357 buildings were left standing. Every pier along 170 miles of coastline was demolished. 15,000 homes destroyed. Another 39,000 damaged. Uncounted thousands homeless overnight. In Myrtle Beach, 80% of waterfront dwellings were gone. At Cherry Grove Beach, 75 residences were demolished in hours. At Paulage Island, 40 homes swept away. The carnage across the Carolinas totaled $163 million in 1954, roughly $1.8 billion in today's money. But here is what made Hurricane Hazel genuinely extraordinary. Most hurricanes die when they hit land. They lose their warm oceanic fuel source. Friction slows them down. Wind shear tears them apart. Hazel refused. It raced northward at nearly 50 miles per hour, an almost unheard-of forward speed for a tropical system. It blasted through Virginia, where gusts topped 100 miles per hour at the Weather Bureau in Norfolk. It roared through Washington, D.C. in a matter of hours. It continued through Pennsylvania, crossing the Allegheny Mountains, which should have killed it, and instead merged with a powerful extratropical cold front moving down from Canada. That merger was the critical moment. Meteorologists call it extratropical transition, when a tropical cyclone combines with a mid-latitude weather system. Instead of weakening, Hazel actually reorganized and deepened as it absorbed the cold front's energy. The result was a hybrid monster, neither fully tropical nor fully extratropical, carrying the intensity of a Category 1 hurricane with all its rainfall more than 1,100 kilometers over land. It slammed into the Greater Toronto area on the night of October 15th. The timing could not have been worse. The Toronto region had experienced an unusually wet autumn. Soils were saturated, Rivers were already running high. Then Hazel dropped up to 8.4 inches of rain in a single night in Snellgrove, Ontario. The city of Toronto received 3.5 inches in just 3 hours. The rivers answered with a fury no one was prepared for. The Humber River rose 20 to 26 feet above normal levels. In Woodbridge, the river went from 66 feet wide to 351 feet wide in hours. 9 people died there. Entire streets became rivers. More than 50 bridges were washed out across the region. Highway 400 through the Holland Marsh went under 10 feet of water in some stretches. The Etobicoke Creek overflowed at Long Branch, and 7 people were swept into Lake Ontario. And then there was Raymore Drive. 5 volunteer firefighters answered a call about a stranded motorist near the Humber. Their fire truck was caught by the floodwaters in the dark. All 5 were swept away and killed. They had gone out to save someone else's life.
In all, 81 Canadians died, most of them in Toronto, most of them in a single night. The Hurricane Relief Fund raised 5.3 million Canadian dollars within weeks, a staggering sum for 1954. About 800 soldiers were deployed to the city. Heavily flooded areas were expropriated. The government bought the land and forbade anyone from rebuilding there. Much of it was converted into the greenway parks that today line Toronto's rivers. The total death toll from Hurricane Hazel across Haiti, the Caribbean, the United States, and Canada is estimated between 592 and 1,192 people. The damage totaled $382 million in 1954 dollars. The name Hazel was retired from the Atlantic Hurricane naming list, first for 10 years, then permanently in the spring of 1969, because the storm was still an active subject of meteorological research. It will never be used again. In Raymore Park today, a footbridge crosses the Humber River where Raymore Drive used to be. There is no plaque, no dramatic monument, just a quiet path above the water in memory of 35 people who went to sleep in the rain and never woke up. New episodes every Tuesday and Thursday at 7 a.m. CDT on Spreaker. Deep dives into history's most powerful storms. Support the show for $5 a month and keep these stories alive.
You know that this podcast has a supporters club? By becoming a supporter of the show, you can gain access to exclusive content and play an active role in helping the podcaster continue producing the content you love. See the link in the episode description for more details. Now, let's get back to the episode.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing and sharing with other people.